And what I'd like to know is, what did Thomas Jefferson know of the troubles of you and me? Now, I have great respect for the sages. I believe in naming streets and public schools after them. But now, supposing that Thomas Jefferson was to come back today and say to himself, well, there's a good Democrat up on Archie Road. I think I'll drop in on him and discuss the matters of the day. Well, maybe he could ride his mare up the street and not be run over by the streetcars. And maybe the lads on the corner would think he was crazy and not murder him for his clothes. But anyhow, he got here, and after fumbling around with the latch, I let him in. And after I've induced him to take a bowl of red liquor, it explains how the seltzer comes out and how water is drawn from the faucet, and got him so that he wouldn't hit his head on the ceiling every time the beer pumped through a fit. We got to talking about the political situation. Well, says I, it looks like Iowa has gone Republican. Iowa, he says, what's that? Why, it's a state full of corn and people. And why is it going Republican, he says? Because the people are there for holding on to the Philippines. The Philippines, he says. What the devil is that? Well, it's small wonder you don't know. 'Twas myself was weak on it not too long ago. But before we go any further on this subject, do you know where Wisconsin is, or Minnesota, or California, or Utah? I do not, says Thomas. Well, do you know that since your death, a city has grown up on the shores of Lake Michigan that could make Rome look like a whistling station? I do not, says Thomas. Well, do you know that I could cross the Atlantic Ocean in 6 days, and won't? And if anything don't happen in China, I can hear about it in 24 hours if I care to know. And if you were in Washington right now, I could ring you up by the telephone and your line would be busy. I do not, says Thomas. Well, then don't presume to be advising me that knows these things and a great many more. And when you go back to where you come from and sit down with the rest of the sages, trying to figure out if a man can really go from Boston to Richmond in a week, tell them I said in their day they was running a corner grocery, and today we're running a 16-story department store. And I hoist him on his horse and ask a policeman to show him his way home. By heavens, I want me advice up to date. And when Mac and William Jennings Bryan tries to tell me what Thomas Jefferson and George Washington wanted, I says to him, gentlemen, they learned their trade before the days of open plumbing. Tell us yourselves what is wanted, or find me a journeyman whose working card is dated this century. Sure, those old lads were level-headed, but under the new election laws, you can't vote the cemeteries.